My point is that you should never take no for an answer if you truly honestly believe in yourself. All these people, they might project their own fears on you, but it doesn't matter what comes down your path because you have a vision, you believe in yourself, and if you really want to raise that money, you will raise the money no matter the statistics. If you really want to take a leap and create a new startup and a new idea, go ahead and do it. If your interaction with whomever that you created a company with doesn't work that well, trust your gut. Like follow your own sense, and then you'll be able to succeed, I think, no matter what.
Welcome to the CTRL ALT GAB podcast, where we sit down with tech founders to break down how they scale, pivot, and grow. I'm your host, Gabrielle Walthers. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the CTRL ALT GAB podcast. Today, we are joined by the wonderful Galya Westler. We are so excited to have you, Galya. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've chatted a couple times before this, all about AI, your experience, and it's been so great getting to know you so far. I'm very excited to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Gabrielle. It's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So Galya is the co-founder and CEO of HumanBean Technologies, existing and interacting with the world of AI. I don't want to say bots, but I know that's a bit reductive. So we'll get into talking a bit more about your offering. But for that, I really want to dive into the origin story of HumanBean Technologies. What led you to this specific space? I know that you have had multiple entrepreneurial ventures as well. I'm curious what the personal and professional convergence was that pushed you towards HumanBean.
Hello, everyone. My name is Galya Westler. It's very nice to be here today. I am a multiple-time entrepreneur. I have a few active companies that we're working with, and we're kind of like interchanging with the same team and adding more team members. As you've mentioned, we've got HumanBean Technologies, and we're based in Canada. We also have Plazas Technologies, and both are in Vancouver, but the team is completely remote. We have very talented AI engineers and also enterprise level software developers, because our origin with Plazas is that we build custom-made software solutions for enterprises. And what we do with HumanBean is what you described. It's very interesting when people describe it as a bot. HumanBean builds AI-powered visual concierge experiences, and we call them AI companions. The question would be to you and to the audience, do you know the difference between an AI companion and a simple bot or a very, very sophisticated ChatGPT? Do you know the difference?
This answer is being pulled out of thin air. So the short answer would be no, but I'm going to guess anyway. In my mind, the biggest difference is perhaps the adaptiveness and the personality aspect and its ability to input behavioral information based on your interaction and have that inform their responses, their behavior, their personality, that type of thing.
That's a very, very interesting response. I think that educating people about the differences in AI is something really interesting. I come from the world of blockchain. When I say to people we code using blockchain technology, they automatically think crypto. Maybe when somebody hears the word AI, they automatically think about a bot, but actually it's like a wealth of knowledge and world behind these terms. If I were to talk about blockchain, I would say that we don't do crypto. We do development, particularly in the area of identifying users anonymously to be able to open up some functionality for them. We've done this with different healthcare organizations, and we develop solutions using this particular functionality on blockchain. When we talk about AI, there's different kinds of implementation. What you're referring to is how do you customize this experience, and then how do you experience that probably as a user? But also today, it's important to educate the businesses. How can they use AI? The simple answer would be is that when you use a ready-made bot, this bot, if you're kind of using like even the most advanced one, which is, for example, ChatGPT, with ChatGPT, if I were to bring it to the world of the business, it is very much limited, and you have to pay per seat. Which means that if you've got a big organization, or let's take, for example, Copilot, the competitor from Microsoft side, even though they're using some of the same LLM engines, it is a competitor, and they do sell also licenses. So the more users in your organizations are using it, the more you have to pay. And you know this also as an end user. You know that you have to pay the $20 or whatever, how many bucks a month in order to use it. And when you use it, which is a phenomenal tool, if you don't use it in an agentic approach, you ask it a question, it gives you all these different links and work to do. Now, when you look at an approach of an AI companion, all of a sudden, an AI companion is able to guide you through very complex decision making. And essentially, that interaction, that AI companion, is going to take you from beginning to end, and you can literally sit and do nothing. What we did is we took the engine behind. So the engine is Llama, OpenAI, right? Like all kinds of different LLMs. And then what we did is we built like a visual layer, and it's the best way is to look at our website, humanbean.io. You can see the different examples. If we look at a hotel, if you look at a hospitality, if you were to go to a website like Expedia, right, you have to go and search and, oh my God, like I want to fly. Right? I have this conference coming up in Calgary in November. I had to find flights, and then I went to Expedia because I wanted to get the best deal. And then I need to go, and it's at the Marriott. So I had to like combine it with the Marriott, and Expedia gave me this option, but I had to do all this search. But what's my other option? I go to ChatGPT and we're like, hey, ChatGPT, I have a conference on the 20th of November. I need to stay at the Marriott. It needs to be in downtown Calgary, and I need to go from Vancouver. Before that, I have to fly from Berlin because this is where I'm at. So please find me that flight. By the way, I'm bringing a dog, a cat, a bird, and an elderly mother, and also like my neighbor with their toddler. Man, that's a lot of work. So if you just rely on a ChatGPT, that's a lot of work for you. And if a company or a website like Expedia were truly wanting to give a good experience for their customers, they should consider an AI companion. And when you go to our website, you will see that when you talk to Dave, he can be anybody. But we call him Dave, right? And he's kind of like a suited guy, and he looks like a concierge. And you have a conversation with him, and you're like, Dave, oh my God, how are you? And Dave can see what you're wearing. He'll be like, oh my God, I love your glasses. Your hair is epic. I want to get to this color. I don't know how. I think I have to bleach it. Dave is going to tell you, oh my God, you look amazing. How can I help you? And then you're going to say to Dave, I've got 2 dogs, 1 cat, 1 bird. They're getting along. Nevertheless, I need to get them on the plane. I'm coming from Vancouver to Calgary. And before that, I need to bring my grandma from Berlin. And Dave, if he's connected to the right information and a knowledge base, which is where he's getting his information, in a visual manner, which is what we do. We give him a face. We even put him in a hologram box. So he looks in 3D. When you arrive to the location or when you're interacting on the website, Dave is going to say, Gabrielle, don't you worry. I have APIs and I'm connected to the best flights, and I'm going to find you the deal with Air Canada so you can get the cheapest way from Vancouver to Calgary. I'm also connected to different APIs of different hotels and inventory there. I'm going to get you the best deal at the Marriott. It's going to be a queen size, whatever bedroom. And I also have a deal with the steakhouse because I know you like steaks. This is what an AI companion does, and this is what we do. This is what HumanBean does. It really is about giving this AI-powered visual conversation in a natural conversation. So the way it looks is that there's like interactive visuals. It's like you talking to me. So you probably know this mode from ChatGPT when you press to talk. Mm-hmm. He's very personable. And then remember you asked me about the customization, right? With ChatGPT, I do think that you can change like the different voices, but it's very limited. Imagine you want to do it for your business. What would you do, right? You will need to hire developers like us to be able to take some sort of an engine and then build it for your requirements. What we did as a product company, we said, okay, we have customers in hospitality, in clinics, in hospitals. We have clients that are in retail spaces, fashion, insurance, car dealerships. These are all complicated products. Let's build AI companions that are fitting for them, and let's offer it to them per minute SaaS solution. And everything is like ready, and we can even customize it, and it's like ready to go.
Yeah, I think that especially when people conceptualize their interaction with AI, there is limits. Obviously, you could see from my answer to your initial question that I think a lot of people probably are similar to me have that understanding of like, this is the use case for these types of back and forth on conversational AI. But the part that's very interesting to me is in the case study you gave of your elderly bird and your grandmother aren't getting along and they're all on the same plane.
Elderly bird, that's so funny.
Your parent's 65 years old. He's pissed that he's there. You're looking at, so let's say there was a AI concierge at Expedia was using. Everyone hates buying a flight. It's very complicated. And there's already those pathways and partnerships through Expedia with the airline. There's that level of nuance already. If you were trying to utilize this AI concierge to truly be like a one-window approach for your entire trip, that requires partnerships and access to APIs with regards to restaurants and hotels outside of what is contained in Expedia. So is there there any complicating factors with that piece? Like how much formality is needed for that concierge that's attributed to one company to access APIs outside of, for example, what Expedia can offer? You know what I mean? If they're really trying to improve your experience booking your entire trip, all of those external pieces to the flight, how are those linked to that same concierge if it's owned and set up and operated by Expedia?
Yeah, there's two ways to go about it, right? And this is something that we're figuring out with our clients because we do need paying clients because we are a startup. We're only around for like 10 months. I didn't tell you the history, but it's built upon another system that we've built as a telehealth solution. And in our platform, you have ability to have like an AI call and a live human call because our tagline is because the future is human, which means that a lot of the times because the adoption to AI is quite low, a lot of businesses are like, oh my God, nobody wants to talk to a machine. Everybody talks to a machine. I don't remember my life before talking to the machine. I love the machine. I am a machine, you know? And then I expect people to be machines. Like I'm totally addicted. I mean, I also did a TED talk about addiction with technologies. So this is kind of my background. So when you think about like traditional businesses, because they're so hesitant to use different AI tools, because of all the danger and all the misknowledge, all the misindication that's out there, they have an opportunity to really truly be able to think about it, not even as AI, but as a way for them to automate their processes, right? There's different ways to go about it, right? And there's different steps that we can take them towards that goal, right? When I look at our company, like as a startup, we really had to pick and choose who are we going to integrate with and who are we going to offer what. I can tell you that the next step of something that we're doing is because the businesses have to pay us per minute. So you asked, like, who are we offering to? We're offering this to chain of hotels. We're offering this to a chain of clinics. We're offering this to a chain of insurance, to a chain of like car dealership, right? And the reason is because when you're selling it to a chain, you have a possibility to bring this AI as productivity. It's a tool for them to boost conversions and retention because the AI can do the pre-qualification. If you think about businesses like insurance or real estate, a lot of the time when you want to buy real estate, and if I were to talk about the pain point, right? When I was talking to different real estate professionals, they were saying, oh my gosh, a lot of the time people already have a realtor, so I shouldn't be talking to them because there's nothing I can do for them. A lot of this disqualification of a client should happen on an automatic level, which means that the business has to think and ask themselves, what is the manual processes that I do? And how can my life change when I automate it? And when the answer to that is yes, I need an AI to be my triage, they should definitely implement some sort of AI. That's number one. Number two is this tool allows them to enhance the customer experience. Imagine you go to a resort and you don't necessarily have to talk to anyone. You can just talk to an AI that looks real. He's in 3D. He's in a hologram and he's able to essentially give you all the services that you need as a first step. It's kind of like, they implemented those automatic cashiers at the supermarket. At the beginning, people were like, oh my God, I can't use it. I don't know what to do. It's like, I don't know how to weigh my vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's all the
Yeah.
vegetables. But if you make it really user-friendly, guess what? They're not going to have like 10 different shoppers, employees. They're just going to have one or two. And so it boosts the retention, it boosts the conversions, it enhances the client experience, and there's an operational impact. So
Mm-hmm.
now the question is, okay, Galia, like as a product, who are you going to give this to? Going back to your question about APIs, we cannot implement this to a bunch of APIs. But when we're talking to different hotels, there are different point of sale systems that they absolutely need, which we absolutely have to have that integration in place. The next level of what we want to do is when we bring it to all these different customers, we have an ability to do intent-based ad. This means that as a business, that you have a chain and you're all over Canada, you're all over the world, every single screens, even though we show it on the hologram, which is totally a gimmick, even though we show the hologram, you can put it on every screen, on every website, on every app. You pop the AI, they give some sort of advice. And then because they know what you're talking about, let's imagine you come to the hotel and you're really curious about the spa. The AI is going to serve you that spa coupon. And then if there's like a sponsored ad for a spa around, and if the hotel allows for such company, it will show the ad. And then you, as the owner of that chain, you're going to make money. You're not only going to boost, retain, and enhance the client experience, you're also going to open up opportunity for you to make business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this This reminds me of when we first chatted about the implication of this AI concierge service for accessibility. I think you gave the example of your mother or some grandmother being English second language, trying to navigate English speaking programs, services. We talked about like a registry office here in Canada. You go in, you can't speak to the person, none of the forms are in your language, you have no idea what's going on. Utilizing an AI concierge with the capability to be able to offer all of this information to you in your native language, that has such immense applications to general accessibility, the accessibility of social services. Like there's a really wholesome use case there for bridging a lot of those gaps, especially for like, newcomers to Canada and stuff like that. I know, you're in the early days with HumanBean, but with regards to how you're able to distill the story and explain the use of HumanBean and all the various implications it can have, has that piece been something that you've leveraged to open people's minds to what's possible? I think that where people have a lot of hangups around the adoption of AI, especially in these more human-like ways, I think that that's a really good argument to soften people's hearts to it a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm just curious how that piece has come to play in specifically how you've been able to get your company in front of people and grow and scale and keep the public perception of AI positive.
Yeah. I think that it's really important to have this honest conversation and ask people, like the way I asked you, what is it that they know and what are the hangups that are preventing them from implementing it. A lot of the time, because we've got another company that's doing custom software development, we also do like penetration testing, we do like security analysis, we put like a hacker hat on, and then we're able to do like security audits. And then we're also getting into generative AI, because just the implementation of regular AI for your organization internally is something that people are not aware how dangerous it is. Because if they don't put the policies in place of how to use like ChatGPT or Copilot in your organization, and you end up uploading documents to ChatGPT, or you end up doing even research mode, there's different things out there in the internet that the hackers are using to poison when you're getting those results, and then to use injection methods to be able to pull all those confidential documentation that you uploaded into the wild web internet of different LLMs that are pulling the information from, and also they're taking the information that you're giving it. A lot of people, they don't even know the differences of how to implement it for their business. When we talk about AI, we don't just talk about HumanBean. We talk about the entire education around AI.
Mhm.
And what does it mean? Like, even, you know how OpenAI, they now offer you to put like OpenAI for your business. I mentioned to you, it's license based, but it's not only that. They only promise you that they're not going to use your information to feed into the internet, so that the LLM is going to learn and essentially use your data to teach itself and then answer from your data to other competing or whomever customers out there or competitors out there. The true solution that enterprises should consider is actually hiring developers to use tools such as Microsoft Azure, OpenAI APIs, which means that they hire a group of developers that are able to build this like assistant chat with specific customization for their workflows, which means
Mm.
I need to upload documents. I need to be able to make sure that those documents are from SharePoint or from Google Drive. It's not from anywhere in my organization. I also need to make sure that I use different, let's imagine Microsoft Azure AI tools to be able to scan this, to make sure that nobody has injected anything, nobody's impersonating to be my administrator, and then is asking for your email and password, and then by that hacking or getting a hold of your credentials. These are a bunch of information that clients that they're not even aware of. So when we talk to them about AI, we talk about everything. Now, with regard to what you said about adoption, the best answer, which is something that we were able to do, is run pilots with organizations and tell them you just have to put it in the hands of your users. Any new technology, put it in the hands of your users, set up a time, set up beta customers, and then let's roll this for 14 days, 30 days. Let's put KPIs and measure everything and see the results.
First of all, I appreciate how you're able to leverage the information that you've gathered just through understanding the implications and the use cases of this type of AI concierge service. It's clear how important the education piece is, especially when you're in an industry that is so new, such as AI. I'm curious how your perception of what the advantages of being in a newer industry are in relation to scaling. There's clearly a big onus on the education piece, helping people understand exactly the use of AI, how it works. I think truly in this case, knowledge is power. The more people understand something, the better they're able to use it, the less afraid they're going to be of it, all of those things. I think that it's clear the risks around trying to start a company on the back of something I say so new. I know that AI has been a thing for a long time, but coming to the surface just recently. Explain how that piece has impacted your growth, either in a positive or a negative way, or both. Maybe it's all come out in the wash, but that's something unique with AI. It's so new and being so heavily opted into, which there's positives and negatives, but I'm really curious how that element specifically has impacted your growth from what you've been able to see.
Let me explain, because you asked about scale, you asked about exposure. How do we get in front of people? How do we get the message across? I can tell you that one of the superpowers that I tapped into, I grew up and I was a very, very shy girl. I wasn't really that outgoing at all.
Oh, I believe you.
Yes, 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 yes. Like, ask my friends from high school, totally, or even like from
That's so funny.
university. I was the worst student. I was so bad in school because I just didn't get it. Everything was so hard for me. I just did not get it. I need to have really a lot of people explained to me the different material. And then I went ahead and I studied software engineering with not having any physics background or not even really good math background. Being in this very, very, very competitive environment, I didn't really feel that I was particularly smart. And the way it evolved is that I learned to be a hustler. I learned to understand what people around me need. During university, I was really struggling and I saw like all guys, unfortunately, not enough women, all the guys around me, they're all like stoneheads. They're not even showing up to the classes. I'm the only one showing up with like my little pen and paper. And I was studying before that during high school in university. I studied law, like I did like first year in law. I didn't like survive. I did psychology, sociology. And then when I came to university, I had the skill to listen and to summarize. So I would trade my notes with them. And I would learn how to hustle. Like I would hustle my grades with my professors. They're like, Galya, you got 39. I'm like, yeah, technically, but if you give me another chance, maybe I'll get to the 60. So I would pass in 60. The truth was that I hustled. I got my grades improved. I sat down. I learned everything. I redid the test and I passed. And in the end, I have my software engineering degree, blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, I really like that story. That is so important. And I'll say I am tentative to apply gendered lenses to a lot of things. I understand that can be a bit divisive, but I do think that there is an important one here, especially in relation to female founders and even more in relation to female founders in tech. I think that there is an attitude of selling ourselves short, and you are a testament to the correct mindset can carry you so far, and not having those limiting beliefs and understanding that you can be effective and intelligent in different ways that aren't going to be apparent in a traditional learning setting like university. I love that story because it positions you in a place of disadvantage by people being like, you're getting bad grades. I can't believe you turned out to be something exciting. But
Nobody sees it.
you had a good idea, hustled really hard, you outworked your peers, and that is, such a testament to the unique nature of your company as well. What I've been able to extrapolate from your various stories, I think, is such a secret sauce to what you've been able to do with HumanBean and grow it to where it is now, is working hard, not having those limiting beliefs, and being able to leverage opportunities to further explain your product, allow people to understand its use. I do want to pivot a bit to what your challenges have been with HumanBean. It's been amazing to dive into all the ways that you've been growing and scaling HumanBean correctly, but I want you to speak a little bit to where you've seen those growth challenges come up. When have you been trying things, trying to move past some of these challenges, and just walk us through what that process has looked like for you?
Yeah, I can tell you that at the beginning, unfortunately, we weren't talking to customers. We were going through like third party, different sales people that were involved. And we never got in front of the actual client up until really like a few months ago. And we really started to roll this out and do all these pilots and do the projects and really understanding like how they're using it and then improving the product. This was a true challenge because when you're dealing with a product, when you're dealing with a service company, it is really, really important to be in front of your customers. It's really important to talk to them every day and not to rely on some third party or on some connections, on all the promises, right? As an entrepreneur, it's extremely difficult. I can talk about, the path of raising money as a female founder, raising money from Canadians versus raising money from American versus, from all over the world. Like there's so many challenges. And the thing is that when you talk to your customers day in and day out, there's also the challenge of how do you direct your product in the right way? Like you and I talked about the APIs. How do you go in the right path that's going to be allowing you to be more successful and, having your clients really successful by using it? So this is also like challenges because we were talking through these third parties of what the customers needed from someone else telling you, we actually end up developing some features that current customers are not using and they don't need. There's so many pivots that are happening. It's pivot from like, how do you get the money that's invested? How do you get new investors if you want new investors? How do you get new clients? Oh my God, I have to pivot my product. How do I develop something for my product that's not so custom made so that when I push code out there, I don't even technically, right? When you do so much customization, it's really hard for you to push to the same branch. And so if there's any bug fix, you really have to do the bug fix one time so that it's able to reach all the different deployments, all the different clients. Versus if you were to run off and do some specific workflow, which we can, right? We can do it through Plazas, but it's probably not going to be through HumanBean, which means that, we will have to choose, are we going to do custom development or are we going to do a rollout of a feature that customers are going to use when they use the SaaS product? So there's really like an abundance of different challenges that you face when you have when you offer these kind of services and products.
Yeah, I think it'd be very interesting to compare that and the impact of getting in front of your customer and having those conversations and getting that primary data directly from the source, especially from a founder perspective. How has that looked different when we compare Plazas and HumanBean? Because I think the custom software solutions, even just from a marketing perspective, you have an easier task at getting that in front of someone, having them understand the use case, understanding how that could fit their needs. You need to feed a bit more education into how you'd be doing that for HumanBean. What have you learned from comparing those differences? And have there been?
That's really interesting. When you have a very, very strong presence, and by presence, I'm not just talking about your website is super important. We just redid the website and it's absolutely phenomenal, the humanbean.io website. And through this website, because it is so good and shows the different use cases, we have been getting people going on there and then booking with the Calendly to get on a call with us to discuss their needs. Another really cool thing that we want to do is we want to build automatic workflows so that essentially you show some sort of a questionnaire to the client. What is it that they need? You get all the info and then the demo is ready for you. Are you ready to see your HumanBean avatar? Put your email and let's get on the call. Bing. So with HumanBean is actually have been easier because it is quite clear what the different industries need. They definitely need an enhanced client experience. They need to boost conversions and retentions. They have complicated products that they can't really explain, and they need something to explain it for them to do the pre-qualification, triaging, and then giving them the lead, also known as their customers. Whether it's upselling to them or giving them a service or whatever it is. It was actually a lot easier with HumanBean once we decided how the website is going to look and what the messaging is going to be. Nevertheless, with Plazas, it was a different route, but very similar. When I finished university and I started to work in the industry, I'm a software engineer, but also a product manager, which is super, super important role for an organization. I worked in different high-tech positions and I was either kicked out or I kicked myself out because I hit the glass ceiling because you're such a creative person. And then you have some not very wise boss that will like try to shrink you down. Like, you work for me.
Yeah, I hired you to fit inside this box. And so you can
I
be on the team
cannot
as long as you
fix.
fit in the box. Yeah.
Exactly. And so because you don't fix in the box, you literally explode out of the box and you find creative ways to have your own business. I had no other choice but than to become an entrepreneur. My path have been with Toastmasters. I was introduced to TEDx in Vancouver. They were looking for somebody in technology. I fit their pattern that they needed, and I had the opportunity to pitch to them. And then I was on the TED stage almost 9 years ago. And because of that, I got like quite a big exposure. Podcasts, interviews, la 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 la. And because I learned the art of being a Toastmaster and I became a TED speaker, the secret sauce and the superpower is, as an entrepreneur, if you have something to share, you never ever try to sell. You never try to sell. You try to go to different stages and you give the information. And when you're on stage, when you're that captivated, all these pivots that we've done with Plazas, because Plazas also started as a product company, being a product person, that was my natural innate reaction, is to create products. We were pivoting. We were trying to raise more money. The market was crashing. We were doing this like in the whole like blockchain era in 2017, 2018. It was crashing. I was on my way to do a roadshow knowing that we're not going to get more investors. And while I knew this, I was standing on the stage and I just talked about the education around blockchain technology. Customers came to me. They're like, how can you do this for us? And then,
Mhm.
okay, I know how to pivot now. And I would just offer these services and turn it around, revenue coming in, no need for investment. Like, oh my gosh, we're on a roll. Then COVID hit.
Mhm.
Then everything was slowing down. If you're not able to withstand these insane up and down as an entrepreneur, the reason why they say you cannot be in the 2%, the reason why 98% of us fail is because to be in the 2%, you have to act and you have to be able to be so resilient no matter when they say no to you because they're not going to give you investment, no matter if the client tells you that she doesn't want what you've got to offer, no matter when you bring bad partners, when you bring bad employees, it doesn't matter how hard it is. If you're standing still, if you know your vision, you will succeed. And it's been like a
Yeah.
roller coaster.
Yeah, that reminds me of the power of trying something and failing and how that is a valuable experience because you learn so much from it that you're able to take into your next venture or take into your second try. And oftentimes it's that grit and that determination that you learn through failure that is able to allow you to grow and be successful the next time around. You mentioned something, and that's kind of a personal philosophy that I've lived by, which is nothing necessarily innately bad can happen from just following those open doors. You're going one way, you are really trying to make something happen. Those doors are closed, but then you turn a little bit, you look this direction, and there's 5 doors that are wide open for you. I think that there's so much value and power into just being like, okay, sure, let me try it, see what happens. Like, no harm, no foul. And I think that risk aversion, especially I think for women in male dominated fields, is a natural thing. But so much can come to you by just being like, I don't care. I'm going to just do it anyway.
But you know that sometimes we are our own worst enemy. And the reason is because as a product person, when you create products, they really are like your babies. It came like out of your whole essence. And then you have to realize when to like move on. Like you have to let go. That's why I'm saying that we are our own worst enemy because you can't always move on. You do not see anything other than that baby that you brought to life. And you think it's the most beautiful baby. And like Seinfeld said, oh my God, such an ugly baby. You need to realize sometimes like it's not good and you have to let go. And this has been like
Sometimes
my
the baby's ugly and you gotta move on.
ugly. Yeah, and you need like a Kramer to come and tell you your baby's ugly. Like throw it in the water, like get rid of it,
That's
right?
so funny. Yeah, I love that analogy. Kramer coming in telling you your baby's ugly and to try again. Yeah, I like that visual personally. Oh, that's too funny. This really positions us on the topic of founder behaviors and the impact that founder behaviors and mindset can have on a company's ability to grow and scale. And that's something I always come back to. Our founder, Ashley, really prioritizes and understands the importance of having an aligned mindset, letting go of those limiting beliefs and the power that that can have to propel your career, to grow your business, to allow you to achieve your personal goals, like all of those things. That is something I definitely see in you and has been able to be a prominent theme through the stories that you've been able to tell me. I personally love that. I think that's something that a lot of tech founders fail to capture or fail to understand the importance of. I just really love that piece. As we come up to the end here, I'm curious what your biggest takeaway from your experience, both through HumanBean and your other entrepreneurial ventures. What are the biggest takeaway, biggest lessons learned that you've experienced that you think could hold value for other founders, other people maybe going through something similar, other female founders, any people that you'd want to support with your wisdom and knowledge?
Yeah, I want to relate back to something that you said, Gabrielle, that's really important. And when we talk to different entrepreneurs, I really would talk to everybody that feels that they're the underdog or not being given the chance. It is not about being given the chance. If somebody were to tell me, oh, I have my career, I'm just going to sit and wait for the raise to come. No, never ever. When I worked in that entire 3 years that I was employed, I was the biggest pain in their neck because every 6 months I would evaluate everything that I do. I would always work the hardest. I would always be the one who stays the latest. I was always like the most honest, which got me into trouble. And then after 6 months, when they do the evaluation, I'll be like, hello, please give me your evaluation. Oh my gosh, Galya, you're amazing. Oh my God, I'm amazing. Great. I want $10,000 more. I want 3 weeks vacation. What is this thing? 2 weeks vacation in Canada? Like, what is this thing? I need to go visit my mother in another country. Like, I need to work remotely. This is me 16 years ago when I first came to Canada. And I remember my boss was like, what? Move to Toronto, he says to me. I'm like, I don't want to move to Toronto. I like it here in the West Coast. Like, I know I can get paid. And so what I did is I just said, okay, see ya. And then I moved to another job. That's how I raised my salary. And then I realized, oh my gosh, glass ceiling, this is not for me. My point is that you should never take no for an answer if you truly, honestly believe in yourself, regardless of your gender. And yes, I know it's difficult, like us as females, to raise money, for us to lead guys, to like be the presenter. It's really difficult. It's really difficult for a lot of people from a lot of different groups in our society. But you should never, ever look at yourself as a victim. It really doesn't matter. And all these people, they might project their own fears on you, but you being the warrior, it doesn't matter what comes down your path because you have a vision, you believe in yourself. And if you really want to raise that money, you will raise the money no matter the statistics. If you really want to take a leap and create a new startup and a new idea, go ahead and do it. If your interaction with whomever that you created a company with doesn't work that well, trust your gut. Like follow your own sense, and then you'll be able to succeed, I think, no matter what. That would be my advice.
I love that. Such a perfect note to end on and such an important piece of experiential information. I would encourage anyone listening at home, take Galya's words and run. I think that's amazing advice, not only for anyone in that tech entrepreneurship space, but anyone in the professional space who's a hustler and a grinder and wants to have success for themselves. That's just a good kind of philosophy to live by. Thank you so much, Galya, for joining us today. It was so amazing to have you on the show. And thank you so much to folks at home for tuning in. Please make sure you find Galya, find HumanBean. Galya, I'll let folks know where to find you, how to reach out if they have questions, if they want to test something out. I'll let you plug some stuff before we close out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Gabrielle, for this opportunity. And for everybody that's listening, if you Google Galya, Galya Westler, you will find me. And my LinkedIn is the best way to reach out to me. Also, if you're curious, we are at HumanBean because we beam humans and AIs. And you're welcome to visit our website, give us your feedback, and be in touch.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. And so thank you guys so much for following along. And then thank you again, Galya, for joining us. And we will catch you guys next time.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the CTRL ALT GAB podcast. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next one.